So I am in the crawl space in the aft engine room. This is the front casing of the reduction gear. As you can see, at some point way back in kids' history, some dude got back here and wrote his name. It's either Tuss, maybe Tough.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Tim Nesmith. I'm Ship Superintendent, Education Outreach Coordinator for the USS KIDD. It's my great and distinct pleasure to introduce you now to Mr. Frank R. Tuss, USS KIDD Cold War crew member. Mr. Tuss, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We really appreciate it. I really enjoyed talking with you on the phone. I appreciate Tin Can Sailors connecting you to us. So you're in the Navy, you went to machinist mate school, and the crew roster shows that you got on board KIDD sometime in December of '58. You got assigned to the aft engine room. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And were you always in the aft engine room, or did you ever bounce forward to the forward engine room?
I was always in the after engine room because they made me the water king, and part of the water king was in the after engine room.
So you're the water king during that time period. Awesome.
Yes.
For our viewers that aren't aware of it, there's two. It's not really an official like rank or anything, but it's a job that needs to be filled. A water king and an oil king, and their jobs are to make sure. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Tuss. Their jobs are to make sure that all the oil tanks for the oil king and all the water tanks for the water king, all of those are ballasted properly so the ship remains on an even keel, and also to track usage. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So let's talk a little bit about what I originally called you about. When I went on a structural survey of the engine room down in the dry dock in Homa back in September, crawling underneath the over on the port side, alongside the condenser, I get all the way aft to where the condenser meets up and terminates just shy of the housing, the supports housing for the reduction gear. And I see in big kind of reddish orange paint strokes, Tuss. Tuss. I couldn't tell if it was an F or an S, and then we started digging through the crew roster and we found your name, and when we called and talked to you, you're like, yep, I did that. How did you get down there? What were you doing, and what made you decide to kind of put Tuss was here, so to speak?
Well, when we was operating in the North Atlantic, out of Philadelphia, that we was taking water on in the after engine room. We had to pump the bilges all the time. So we was trying to figure out where the water was coming from. So I crawled down there because I was in the after engine room. I crawled down there because I was a little bit thinner than I am now. And we could see where some water was coming in on the side of the ship down there. And at that time, we were still cleaning bilges and painting. So I took a paintbrush and I painted my name there, and then went up and says, there's water coming in the side of the ship over here. So then we try to go look from putting a mask on in air and try to go to the side of the ship and go underneath there and try to find out what's going on, if we could see what's going on. Well, anyway, we hooked up the air hose to a mask, and I put a mask on and went over the side, and oil started getting pumped into the mask because the oil in the compressor was just here. So then we went into dry dock in Brooklyn Navy Yard, and they fixed whatever. I can't remember whether they welded it back or they put a new plate on it, but that was right underneath the evaporators there. So
Okay.
I went down there to see if I could find out where the hell this water keep coming from, right? That's in the bilges all the time. We're always pumping. And I think that happened when we were playing war games in the North Atlantic with a couple submarines and some other ships. And we got some rough seas up there, as far as what I remember. And, it's been like 60 years ago. That's where it happened up there. We kept taking on water because of the rough seas. That's when I went down there. And then we had that red lead paint. And I figured I just going to put my name on here too. Because we was cleaning the bilges all the time, trying to keep up, but the water kept coming in.
Right. Yeah.
So
and it's not like many people are going to find it. So
yeah.
If you did it up on the upper levels, the chief might have said something.
Yeah. But to crawl down in there, crawl down in the bilges, we had to go down, clean them bilges all the time and paint them for inspection. I guess that I was elected, I'll go down and see what's going on, because I kind of always volunteered for stuff I shouldn't have been.
And you had told me in the phone call about the mask and the oil. The reason the oil was coming up through your mask was because they hooked your air hose up to the low pressure air compressor on the starboard side.
Yeah, oilless air compressor, the rings and all that ain't that good. And, just to put the mask on and start to go over the sides to start the air compressor up and then put that mask on right away, you want to go down there about where the gunnels are. And then the air kept coming in there, and it just took one breath of that, and you can't do that. Get me out of here. So we kind of thought that the air compressor on the ship is good enough, like scuba diving, but we were wrong.
So some of that oil was some of the condensate sitting on the bottom of the tank being pushed up the hose.
I would think so. Yeah.
Oh Lord, that had to have been nasty. I'm sorry, Mr. Tuss. One other thing I'm curious about the aft engine room is on the low pressure turbine. Somebody painted the Roadrunner, like Warner Brothers Roadrunner, beep beep. Was that there when you were there?
I don't know. Now that you mention it, I was trying to think, but I can't remember it there. But okay. I can remember people painting stuff, but I don't think it was there when I was there.
So it must have come after you then.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, it's a long time coming here. Maybe I should have wrote my name a few more places, huh? It's been a good ride for me. Glad you called me. Yes, I'm glad I can tell somebody my stories. My wife is tired of hearing my stories.
Well, I guarantee you're going to have several thousand people watching your video and hearing about your experiences, and they appreciate it as well. And I really appreciate you sharing with us, sir.
I appreciate you, what you're doing. And maybe in 2 years when the kid gets back to down there, that I can go another 2 years, I still should be going good.
Well, we look forward to having you.
God bless you and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tuss.